Hello and welcome to College Beyond Real Talk with Amour. If you have not already guessed, I'm your host, Amour Carthy. And the purpose of this podcast is to help listeners learn about different college experiences and different careers they may be interested in. Today's episode is sponsored by Education Innovations, where we help guide families through education decisions from college and graduate admissions to life beyond. So, today's podcast, we're going to learn about travel nursing. So, without further ado, we're going to bring on Aimée Nobles, and she's already here. So, the title of your episode is On Assignment, an honest conversation about travel nursing, life with Aimée Nobles. So, are you going to be honest with us today?
Absolutely,
So,
100%.
Aimée Nobles, travel nursing. So, what does actually travel nursing look like? And before we get started, didn't you just land in San Francisco?
I flew in from Houston Intercontinental Airport and I flew into SFO, San Francisco International Airport. And I just got here about an hour ago and I am scheduled to work tomorrow for a shift.
Mm. So travel nursing, what does that entail? Do you have like a regular schedule that you have? How does this work with the travel nursing thing? Tell us
So,
more.
so with the travel nursing, you have to have been working in a specialty for at least 1 year, and then you can apply for travel nursing positions. So there are travel nursing agencies that post hundreds of different jobs in different fields. And if you see a job that you like, then you apply for it. You let your recruiter know. You go through a long credentialing process and they take all of your licenses, credential, and they make sure you're eligible to work in that specialty. And then they send it over to the company or hospital. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hospital because there's different specialties as well. And then the manager usually hires you without even an interview. You go in and you do your orientation, and then you work for contracts can be as little as a week, 4 weeks, but typically they are 13 weeks. So you work for 3 months, at least 50 miles away from your home residence. You get stipends for housing and transportation. And you're basically lending yourself to a hospital or entity for pay and for your expertise based on whatever need they have. So they might be short staffed, somebody might be out on maternity leave, they may have uptick in their needs, like for example, during COVID.
Okay, so when you said it's a special, you have to have a specialty. So what is your specialty?
My specialty is women's health. So I am a postpartum mother baby nurse. So I take care of moms after they have the baby, starting from about an hour or two after they have the baby. So they have to be well, and I'll take care of them, go through the postpartum process, help them kind of learn what they need to do in terms of taking care of the baby, taking care of themselves. Also, the dad needs to learn too how to take care of the baby as well so they can go home in a safe manner.
So you said that it takes a year, you have to have a year before you can jump into the travel nursing. So where did you spend your time before becoming a travel nurse? Where were you based?
I was based in Houston and I didn't do so I've been a nurse for 10 years. So
Wow.
for the first 5 years, I worked in Houston. I was Houston based and I didn't do any travel nursing. I just worked at one hospital for 5 years straight. And the reason why I decided to go into travel nursing is because it was at the peak of the pandemic and every day infection rates were changing. And so I made the decision to go into travel nursing, to go away from home because I didn't want to put my family at risk every day coming home by being exposed to COVID and then potentially bringing it back to my home. So I decided to travel outside of the state and begin working in travel nursing just to really protect my family because we didn't know like how the disease would take course. But typically, yes. So I already had 5 years of experience, but usually the travel companies or the travel assignment want you to have at least 1 year so you know your specialty. So basically, you don't really get any training. You might get a week or you might get a day. Most of the time, it's like 2 or 3 days of training, like just to kind of get to know the unit. But you should already know what you're doing, know the meds, know how general operations work in a hospital. So basically, you're just going in and you're getting up and going right away.
So you said, okay, so what was your specialty in Houston before you started the travel nursing? Or did you
It was the
have one?
same. I've only done mother baby postpartum nursing. However, as I've progressed in getting additional degrees, I can do more than just mother baby floor nursing because there's two different types of nursing, but one is like bedside clinical nursing, and then the other one is like the administrative side. So I can
So
do
what's the difference between those 2?
so the clinical side is more hands-on, more bedside, more interacting directly with patients, whereas clinical, it's definitely like in person. So you kind of have to be there for the job. They do have some virtual, a lot actually now they have a lot of virtual clinical portions for nursing, but the administrative side is like management or doing case management where you're looking at cases, you're looking at the disease process on paper, you're making decisions about insurance. There's the research side. So it's not like direct patient care. So it's the clinical side, the bedside is definitely like more hands on. Like you actually have to go in. Whereas the other side, you can do virtual or you're not actually direct patient contact.
So do you have to have the bedside before you can do the administrative, or can you do it backwards?
Well, you don't have to because there's a lot of people that don't do bedside at all.
How
They just
how's that possible?
you still need to have the nursing degree if your position calls for that. I feel like it is better to have the actual clinical side, just so like the management knows what's happening on the actual floor, and knows how it is to actually take care of patients. Because it's one thing just to say on paper we need two nurses to take care of 12 patients, but then it's a different when you're actually there because that's paper, that's like the budget and everything. Okay, we can do it with two nurses, but when you're actually there and there's a patient that goes critical and you need more hands on deck or that person needs more specialized care, then it might not necessarily need just two nurses. You need like extra support.
So would you say that, I mean, is it would you consider nursing not just a science but an art? Because
There's definitely an art to it. It's not just like all book knowledge. You have to kind of you're definitely going to use your evidence-based science for behind the nursing on how things work, but there is an art to it because there's something that's just it's kind of like an intuition, a gut feeling, and then you bring all of these things into your nursing practice every day.
and I was just saying that because, you know, I feel like when your nurse is in tune with you and can communicate with you well, that you may have a better outcome, and I'm not saying a better outcome, it's just because they may know how to communicate with you better.
Yes,
So
definitely. I mean, even culturally, an African American or Black person is gonna understand like, for me, I understand a Black woman better than, I would say another race because I've felt some of the struggles that they've gone through, some of the things that, like, if they've been ignored in healthcare or not being believed, in terms of pain. There's just so many studies where Black women are mistreated. And just for example, there'll be situations where I'll get report from a nurse, and report means just you're getting to hand off all the information from what they did in the previous time of taking care of this patient.
mhm.
So another nurse might say that, oh, she has an attitude or she's a
They put
difficult
that in
patient.
reports?
No, they'll tell you to your face, like, "Oh, she has an attitude, she's a difficult patient." Then I mean,
What?
you're doing it verbally. So, yeah, like, she has an attitude, she's a difficult patient. So, I go in there and I'm just talking to the patient, and I'm able to connect with the patient, and the patient doesn't even have an attitude, it's just they're coming from nursing from a different perspective, and they don't understand just different cultural things that, how we speak, how we interact. And it's not even just for African American, it could be for Asian, like they like certain things, like they like hot water after they have babies. It's just different cultural practices that you have to incorporate. It's not just like the scientific, you have to also incorporate their cultural practices, their spiritual practices, their personal preferences.
So have you been able to learn different cultural practices because of your mixed heritage? And I'm saying that because you're my sister. And I know that you're Malaysian, and then we've also grown up around Latinos or specifically Mexican um, heritage people.
Well, yeah, for sure. Definitely. So, growing up in California and us growing up in East Oakland, which the area that we grew up in, Fruitvale, was a primarily Latino, Latinx, Chicano area. So, I mean, I do speak a little bit of Spanish. I understand Spanish. So that definitely helps. And then just being able to connect with people, like, saying hello to them in their language. But yeah, I feel like I'm more open because we did grow up multiculturally, even to the Asian side of things, because we have different cultural practices like that we do after we have babies too. Like you're supposed to, being taken care of by your family, not really supposed to go out for 30 days, really supposed to rest and have your family make the food for you, the home cooked meal, the soups and things like that. So I've definitely, but every day I'm still learning. Like recently I went on assignment in New York and I learned a lot about the Orthodox Jewish culture and like the Sabbath but even it's different from some of the Jewish people that are like in Philly. So everywhere I go, I'm learning different things. So like even in different parts of California, there's like in the valley, like the Fresno area, there's a lot of Hmong people and yeah, and different types of Indian people from different parts of India.
Hmm.
So just learning their different cultural practices or naming practices. So it's definitely been interesting learning about all the different cultures.
That seems exciting though too for you because maybe outside you can, seek out the elders in their culture or, get invited to learn more if they see that
Yes, for
you're open.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, how long are your shifts?
My shifts are 12 hours, but that's not typical for everyone, especially in California. There's a lot of 8-hour shift nursing. So when I said that there's people that do direct patient care, they typically have like a 12-hour shift, but a lot of people do have 8-hour shifts, or they might be on call, like some of the nurse practitioners or the nurse anesthetist, they might have like they just might be on call and maybe work like 1 or 2 days a month. So, or people who work in the OR, they have different shifts based on like how it is because you couldn't. I don't think you could safely stay in an OR for 12 hours, even though there's some surgeries that can be that long. Yeah.
So is there a union for travel nurses or do you
There's not a
find
union for travel nurses, but different states, like California is a union state. So in like Massachusetts has union, Michigan has union, New York.
so is that
So
why the hours are less? Because
yes,
you have more protections?
it's just based on whatever their union has negotiated for them. But just because like for instance, California, the hospital where I'm working at, most of the people do 8 hours, but there are some 12-hour shifts because some nurses prefer that. For example, labor and delivery, it's typically they usually do 12 hours, whereas on my side, the postpartum side, they do 8 hours. So, but it's just, I mean, it's a preference. Like some people like coming to work 4 or 5 days a week and doing the 8 hours. And then some people just want to do the 12 hours and have their 3 days that they go to work and then the rest of the week be off because, California traffic is crazy, coordinating your daycares and things like that, and coordinating your work-life balance, can be quite challenging. But definitely nursing has a variety of different areas you can be in. You have, your techie nurses, you have just all types of different types of nursing. So it's very multifaceted. If you have, I mean, there's legal nurses, there's all
What are
types
legal
of
nurses? Tell me more about that.
they actually help on the legal side, protect nurses and like if their nurses are sued, because they can be, especially for labor and delivery nurses, they can be sued for like 18 years after the birth of a child. So there's nurses that deal with the legal side of that. So
So let me ask you another question. So with the travel nursing, so do you get you said a stipend, so do they pay for the airfare or you just kind of like figure out how do you
they do pay for your initial and a lot of things in travel nursing are negotiable. So they do pay for you to get there and for you to go home. So like I have a stipend for coming to the assignment and then I have a stipend for leaving the assignment. But some assignments they'll pay for everything. Like they'll pay for your housing, They'll pay for, your travel, everything, rather than just give you an assignment. They'll just take care of it for you.
They'll buy the ticket or book it for you, is that
They'll
what you're
they'll buy
saying?
the ticket. They'll send you a link, and you can book your ticket yourself, but they're paying for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just varied. So, I mean, the main reason why I got into nursing initially is because actually one of the reasons is because of you, because you
Really?
had a baby. Yeah.
Yeah, you gonna tell that story?
Yeah, you had a baby, you breastfed your baby, and you encouraged me to breastfeed mine. And so I had a really good experience breastfeeding my first child. Well, actually, both of them. But I was really inspired by the lactation consultant, who was also a registered nurse. She spent a lot of time with me, helped me get through all my problems. And so that was one of the ways to become a lactation consultant is to become a nurse. You don't necessarily have to be a nurse to be a lactation consultant, but it was one of the ways. And I've always been interested in health because I just got interested in it, probably also because of you.
I thought you got into nursing because of what happened. I don't think you remember. Remember how much, blood I lost? I lost so much blood that they thought that I was gonna have to have a blood transfusion because my, what's the
Your hemoglobin, hematocrit went so
no,
low.
the, what you
The
call it?
placenta,
Yes, got stuck.
your placenta got stuck. Yeah. So yes, no, I didn't really know that that happened to you, but I know you had almost like a 10-pound baby and it was a difficult
Yeah.
delivery, but you still pushed out that baby, which is crazy. But anyway, so yeah, that was one of the reasons. But yeah, I was always interested in health. And actually, before I did nursing, I was in finance. And so I worked for Wachovia Bank, which was in Atlanta. I went to Spelman for 2 years, the Spelman dropout. But they were actually going to help me create a major for myself. It was going to be called ethnobotany.
Really? I
So
didn't know that. The things I learned.
yeah, and so I had went over to Morehouse, and they were going to do it in conjunction with Spelman and help me create a my own degree called ethnobotany because I was really into like medicinal health and herbal health, but they didn't really have a path for me. So I would have to do a lot of creation myself and work with the professors. But I wasn't really mentally ready at the time to take on all that because I was where I was mentally at the time. So I ended up dropping out. But yeah, that was kind of like what started. I was always into like natural health,
I did
medicine,
not know that. The
things
things
like
I
that.
learned.
Yeah,
Wow.
because I think when I was younger, I wanted to be a dentist. But one of the things with dental health, well, dentists is there is a high suicide rate.
I
And
didn't know that.
so with our family, we have a history of like mental health issues, mental health challenges. So I didn't want to put myself at risk by being in that profession. So I had to find a path eventually. And so just all of my experiences led me to the path of nursing, which I did as a second career.
I really thought that you changed careers because of all the downsizing in the banking industry.
Yes,
I
that's one of
didn't
the reasons as well. I had been laid off probably like about for the third time that I had my severance packages and things like that. So I had the opportunity to do something different. My husband also got laid off from Coca Cola, which was in Atlanta. We both were living in Atlanta. So we decided to move to Houston, make a new start. Houston is the healthcare capital of the world. They have the world's largest medical center there. And so it was the perfect place. If anybody doesn't know, nursing school is really hard and difficult. And there's waiting lists for like 5 years in California. And once you get in, it's really challenging. I mean, it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done and a lot of crying, but God
what's so
definitely had.
difficult about it? Is it the work or is it the field work? What is it that's so difficult?
Well, it's not only the book work, but you have to be on point in all areas. So, like, it's very military like. A lot of nursing came from, I would say, the church. And so it's like very military like, very, I would say, like nun like. Because, there was a lot of nuns that were the nurses first. A lot of the medical care came from the nuns. Like, they were the ones who actually like did the nursing care back in the day. So it's very like orderly. And
Mhm.
so like if you come to a clinical not fully dressed in your proper uniform. Just like in the military, you can
Mhm.
get a point off for that. And it's like it's not something that you can like make up. Or if
Mm.
you don't do well on a test, like you could fail the whole entire class because everything is, yeah, based on percentage. Like I didn't know if I was going to graduate until the day before that I graduated because there's a test that you have to take and you have to get a certain percentage on the test and it's the day before your graduation.
Is this for your
So
first? Which one? Which
this
degree
is
was that?
yeah, for the associate's degree nursing.
So tell people how you first started,
Okay,
your
so there's like a couple different entryways into nursing. Some people they do like a LVN program, which is a vocational nurse. And some people do a registered nurse program. Some people do a direct entry where they have a different degree, like in fine arts or something, and then they go straight into the registered nurse degree. But at the end of all of your schooling, you still have to take the NCLEX exam, which is the state board of nursing. Well, actually, if you take the exam, it's good for that state, and then you can apply for other states.
reciprocal agreements, just like
Yeah,
teaching.
if they have reciprocal agreements, but, like, California doesn't have reciprocity with anybody, so you had to, like, apply for that separately. But anyway, so yeah, I decided to go for associate degree nursing, which is with a community college first, because I already had a degree in business. So but I also didn't want to go straight into the BSN, which is the Bachelor of Science Nursing, because I really wanted to get that foundation and be on the floor. Like, I didn't wanna skip being on the floor and really having the clinical experience. So that's why I did the associate's degree nursing. And
Mhm.
that was a 2 year program, like an 18-month program. And it was cheaper because it was with community college. It was only $250 per class. And it was, 2 years. So I had my degree and I could immediately start working. And then I went ahead and did the associate's degree to bachelor's of science nursing program, which is it could be as little as 9 months, but I did it in 2 years because of COVID. Well, no, not that one because of COVID, because I finished up that degree in 2018. So I
So,
finished.
did it have a straight from community college to the BSN, like you're guaranteed, or did you have to apply?
Yeah, you have to apply to a different school. You have to
Okay.
apply so you have to present all your credentials, and it has to be, like, whatever requirements that the school has, like the school that offers the bachelor's. So you
Mhm.
have to apply and get accepted for that as well. And then also for the master's program as well.
So that means you have to have high grades to transfer, right?
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
into yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you can't.
but yeah. But once you get out of, like once you take your core classes for nursing and you sit for the NCLEX, then that's like a big major milestone. So that is like the hardest part. Whether you go into a BSN program or you go into associate's degree program. Once you pass the NCLEX, that is like the most major portion of it before all that.
Okay. So, you have all those RN, BSN, MSN.
So
Is the
I got the registered nurse and then the Bachelor of Science Nursing and then the Master of Science Nursing. So the Bachelor of Science Nursing is just a general nursing degree. And then the Master of Science Nursing, my specialty is in nursing education. So one of my travel jobs that I have done is I went and taught at different hospitals on different equipment or different services that they were implementing in their hospitals. So I also had to travel to like all these different places throughout the United States to teach nurses about like it could be new needles, it could be new equipment. So that's another area of nursing too that people can go into.
so that having that MSN gives you the flexibility, in education to teach as well as work? Is that
Yes.
why you got okay.
Yeah.
So since you're giving the real of travel nursing, what is the most surprising thing that has happened when you have been a travel nurse? Yes, what is the most surprising thing?
Well,
You could just say 2 or
okay.
3.
Well, one of the negative things is that, you're not part of their nursing group when you come into a unit. It's like a lot of times you get the worst assignments, you get blamed for things, the doctors talk to you crazy, the other nurses talk to you crazy, but you have to learn how to just, you're only coming there to just do your job and get it done and that's it. And they hired you for a reason to fill a need. But that was like the surprising thing. But I mean, I'm kind of used to that because I worked in corporate America. So, there's a lot of, you have to learn how to play the corporate game.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like the same thing in nursing,
That's a good way to put it.
but the opportunity to be able to learn how different units run, learn different about different cultures, just really expand the nursing practice and learn from, the wealth of knowledge from other nurses. Because I mean, just not all the time there's going to be those nurses that are like, hater nurses. They're mad because you might make more money than them, or, they're just mad because of whatever, because, they have to be stuck in their job for whatever, but I get to travel to different places. Like I'm not, bound to a place. So that's one of the surprising things is how negative you can be treated. But I mean, I can work anywhere. So, you know.
So, what is, like, the funniest thing that has ever happened then? That you were just like, "Wow, I can't believe that happened."
Thing is, it's just funny, but I just think that like you have to learn how to be an advocate for yourself and learn how to be an advocate for your patients because the doctors they have their set of knowledge that they learn, but if you're with that person for 12 hours and you see them not responding to whatever the doctor's orders are, then you have to be an advocate for the patient. Because sometimes the patient is not able to be an advocate for themselves, so that's the most, I guess, surprising thing. Like, if somebody really needs a blood transfusion and then the doctor's saying, "Oh, no, they don't need a blood transfusion," or, they don't, they're okay, then you just have to keep constantly advocating. And sometimes you have to just go through the chain of command to really help the patient.
So, my last question is, what makes you continue to keep doing this work?
Well, I feel like it's definitely a calling for me because I was always interested in health, and I feel like growing up Catholic, so I got kind of like that strict background, and then our dad's military dad, so also like that strict background is kind of put me in place. But I feel like it's a calling for me because I really love helping women. I really like helping them feel better, helping them learn new things, helping them go home as a family unit in order to feel prepared to take care of that baby, which, they'll be taking care of for the next 18 years or beyond. But it's really challenging for a new mom and the family because it's just something totally different. And you think you know what it is about having a baby. You think you're prepared, but it's a life-changing event. And people can have like 3, 5 kids. Every child is different. Every baby has different needs. Their feeding patterns are different. Their temperaments are different. So just helping moms be able to be healthy and be able to take care of themselves and knowing that helping them know that they can do it is like I feel like it's a calling for me. And I
It's
also
huge.
feel like the fact that we went to, like, an all-girls high school, and then we also went to an all-girls college, so that just kinda, like, put me in place to work with women, and so, I definitely feel blessed that I had the opportunity to be able to work with women and be able to advance, women in general.
Thank you. So, since we're closing out, what last words of advice do you want to give our listeners? Yes, as we part.
I would say right now in healthcare, there's a serious need, but then also healthcare seems to be one of the last of careers that's available because you need a human to be able to do it. Yes, AI can assist us in our careers, but it's not like we can be replaced by AI. So it's still something that's needed. And there's a lot of people that want to get into nursing. And so I would just say, like, if you feel called or led to do it, or it's something that you've been thinking about, there may be people saying, "Oh, no, you're too old for that." But, like I said earlier, this is my second career. I'm 50 now. So I got my nursing degree when I was 40. So I started late. I had a late start.
Late according to who? It's never
I
too
mean,
late.
but I didn't do like, straight like 18, go to this college and then graduate and then go straight into nursing. But I feel like all the experiences that I've had in the past put me right where I need to be. So it's never too late. Do it, just do it because you could be saying in the next 2 years, like, oh, I'm a nurse, and be having a wonderful career. So just do it.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to the audience. If you need any help with your career or college and graduate school experiences, make sure to book a call with us. Bye.